When the franchisee is not getting the support they require to be able to run a proper F45 or a proper workout program, then the clients may have come in because of David Beckham, Cindy Crawford, Mark Wahlberg, but they quickly left because of the shitty experience they got and the poor results they got. The feeling that no one really knows them, cares about them, and appreciates them. Those are the systems that a franchisor has an obligation to teach. And so, yes, maybe Mark Wahlberg or any celebrity entices me to check out that brand. But if that brand does not have their poop in a group, I'm very quickly going to go to a different brand.
Welcome to the Fitness CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to helping fitness entrepreneurs launch and grow successful gyms. Here's your host, Bryce Henson.
Welcome back, friends, to another amazing episode of the Fitness CEO Podcast here with my man B, and about to riff today. And I'm going to read you a headline as we do an F45 breakdown. And this isn't to talk smack on F45 or any franchise system for that matter, but it's really just to do a deep dive, a breakdown, and then also be able to provide some education on what to look out for as you look towards making your decision on a franchise system. So the headline is this: From Cult to Chaos, the surprising downfall of F45. And I have some data points that I want you to listen to. So they started F45 in 2013, but fast forward 8 years, in July 2021, their initial public offering when they went public on the stock market. Then CEO Adam Gilchrist, at the time, valued the company at $1.5 billion after they raised $279 million in its public offering. But then 1 year later, 2022, here we are. The stock has crashed 87%. They've laid off nearly half of their HQ staff in Austin, Texas, and they parted ways with their CEO Gilchrist. The company now hopes to earn anywhere from 40 to 45% of these initial projections. Previously, Adam Gilchrist, their CEO, cited technology as their unique selling proposition. Three aspects of it: fitness programming algorithm, their content database of training movements, and their content delivery platform. So, B, that is the overview. I'm curious what your take on all this is.
Well, so my take is this: as franchisors ourselves with Fit Body Bootcamp, having started Fit Body Bootcamp franchise in 2012, every industry, doesn't matter what industry it is, every industry must police themselves. Otherwise, they get policed by a higher source. That higher source being the Federal Trade Commission, the Securities and Exchange Commission, right? Or worse yet, for the franchisors, a class action lawsuit, which I wouldn't be surprised is taking place within F45 right now. And I share this, and I'm glad you prefaced this when you said it, that we are not here to bash F45. What we're here to do is, one, educate consumers, future franchisees of any brand. And number two, this should be a cautionary tale for all franchisors, that if you stack the odds too lopsided in your favor and you manufacture a business with a false foundation, when it collapses, it doesn't just collapse on you. You're impacting the lives of many small business owners, because all of those F45 location owners are small business owners, right, across the world. And every single one of those people, we're counting on the staff members, F45 headquarters, to support them, to help them with their questions and their problems. Like, all franchises must have a support system. Could you imagine if we onboard you as a Fit Body Bootcamp franchisee today, and we're like, hey, we have this many team members at HQ to support you with marketing and sales and hiring and firing and build out and any kind of questions that you might have. And then all of a sudden, within a few months, cut the staff in half, arguably leaving the lowest paid employees in-house because they are less detrimental to the bottom line. Unfortunately, the lowest paid employees in the building are also the lowest in terms of knowledge, tribal knowledge of the brand. So how are those franchisees going to fare along, right? And so this is the cautionary tale that we have an obligation to tell. Since I was blogging, since 2005, 2006, since I've been blogging in the fitness industry, I've always stood up against what's been wrong in our industry. When they were doing 60-minute personal training sessions, I said, we got to go to 30-minute personal training sessions. When the IDEA and IRSA said that those are the two big fitness associations in the fitness industry when they said that we have to sell just blocks of personal training sessions, 3 sessions at a time, 5 sessions at a time, maybe 10 sessions if you really want to get saucy. I was the one asking the question, why can't we sell like a gym membership does? In other words, month-to-month programs, because the client wants to work out on a consistent basis. How often do I have to put on my sales hat and then my personal trainer hat because I'm selling 5 sessions? You're done training your 5 sessions. I got to resell you again, put on my sales hat. And so just to kind of give you, well, you know this, just to give our audience a look in the crystal ball and going way back in the past, I had applied to speak at URSA and IDEA and the NSCA, and NSCA is a big national certification, the NSCA conference. And when you apply, you go to their websites, you apply to be a speaker. They ask you, what is your topic? And I said, well, I want to talk about marketing and sales so that these personal trainers that own gyms can actually get clients, because I'm one of these personal trainers that's got multiple certifications, yet I was working as a fry cook and a bouncer while working as a personal trainer because I did not have the skills to attract leads and convert them into paying clients. And all 3 of those organizations rejected me, which is why in 2007, I launched Fitness Business Summit, right? And I said, well, if no one's doing a summit teaching entrepreneurship, leadership, marketing, salesmanship to gym owners and personal trainers, I will do it. Because if we had to promote one more certification to another gym owner, I was just going to shoot myself. And so, they said I was a maverick. They said that it was just absolutely wrong. No one would come to Fitness Business Summit. As you know, it went on for 11 years before I retired it. And we would have 1,500 gym owners at a time come into a 3-day event from all over the globe because they were so hungry for that information. I share this with you because since day one, I've been bucking the system, and I've said that we must hold each other accountable in every industry. If we don't, the government will come in and hold us accountable. You see this happening on the stock exchange all the time, where they're constantly being policed and monitored by the SEC, and they're being forced to put in compliance officers within their businesses because they can't comply because they're being shady. Like, there's no reason for us to be shady and then let these small business owners who become our franchisees suffer. And so what we're seeing here with F45 should be a cautionary tale to not only franchisees. If something sounds too good to be true and Mark Wahlberg is behind it and every celebrity is behind it, ask yourself, how much are they getting paid and what's in it for them? If they are not getting paid, and they're still working out there and enthusiastic about that brand, by golly, go get the brand, go sign up, become a franchisee. But if they're getting paid, they have a monetary gain, then you might want to dig a little deeper before you sign that FDD.
And actually, that's kind of tails into one of my follow-up questions for you, B, is really the marketing value, because you talked about sales and marketing, which just runs any business, right? So that's the oxygen of the business. One thing they've, I guess, hypothetically done well is they've been able to attract big name endorsements like Mike Wahlberg or Mark Wahlberg, like David Beckham, like Cindy Crawford, and there's probably a list of others as well. So yeah, from your perspective, B, when you see giant endorsers, giant celebrities on that on one hand, from a marketing play that creates an attraction, but then when you look under the hood and they're kind of fly by night or not being actually products of their product, what does that tell you? So I'm curious on your feedback just in terms of the celebrity endorsements.
And look, you and I are in the business of marketing. I mean, what we do is we market the Fit Body Bootcamp brand. We market our franchise locations. We want to make sure that our franchisees have great financial health because that ensures the health of our corporate office here. So we are not anti-marketing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't pay to get leads and to get endorsements at all. I'm saying you might also consider paying or investing in the support of your franchisees. If you're always paying to bring celebrities on board, knowing that those celebrities will post about it, talk about it, rave about it, and therefore attract more franchisees to a system that does not have a strong support process, then you better strengthen that support process as well. You might want to consider investing the same amount of dollars you're investing in celebrity endorsements and actual franchisee support. And in the absence of that, that's when you've built a house of cards and you deserve to fall apart like they have.
One other thing I want to hit on, and included this in this headline. And actually, I pulled this headline. There's tons of articles out there in the last 6 months around this. But the focus on technology, and that's something that F45 specifically, and I see other franchisors and other businesses that matter, really charge hard on technology. And let's face it, B, we've invested probably hundreds of thousands, probably millions of dollars in technology. So to that point, we are not anti-technology. In fact, we're building a custom CRM, POS system. We just developed a proprietary nutrition app. These are all incredible tools to be able to get our clients better results. But from my lens, and I'm curious on your take on it, I think a lot of times, and F45 is guilty of this, and some other brands and companies, they get too hung up on the technology, where technology is the glitz and the glamour, is the sizzle, but there's really no follow through on that. And I think from my lens, what we've done an incredible job at Fit Body Bootcamp is use technology as a tool, but really never put our eye off the prize of that there's a human, there's a person on the other side of that technology. So we really double down our coaching, our interpersonal relationships with our franchise owners, with our coaches, with our clients across the brand. And that relationship, that connection is really what allows us to build a strong basis of relationship, which then ultimately leads to results. And of course, when your clients get results, they stay, they pay, and they refer. So I'd love your input on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you nailed it. And in fact, the CEO of F45, Adam Gilchrist, who, by the way, it's unfortunate for him too. And again, if he was malicious, then he deserves the repossession of his house or the foreclosure of his house. It's now being auctioned off, from what I understand, his home in Australia. We heard from a very reliable source and someone who knows him well, that he's quote unquote on the run. I don't know what that means, but that he's on the run. Who he's on the run from and what he's done to be on the run, I don't know, and I don't care. Again, my bigger concern is making sure that the franchising space, specifically in the fitness industry, and the franchisees that come into this industry are well taken care of, because if one brand tarnishes the franchise industry, all of our brands are tarnished. And so we have that obligation. But Adam Gilchrist, the former CEO of F45, said their USP, their unique selling proposition, was technology. Since day one, our USP has been our coaches, has been interpersonal communication, the humans working with humans. Because while a TV screen with workouts are awesome, and like you said, we've invested millions in technology that support our human coaches in delivering the results, it is the humans that high-five the clients. It is the humans that call the clients out by name when they show up. It is the humans that remember that client might have had a dog that was sick and they're checking in on that dog or finding out how their family is doing. It is the humans that show up at a barbecue. And all those things matter when you have a product that serves people. When you have a group training program, the coaching is the product, and the coaches, the human coaches, are the product. And we've hung our hat, and we've invested millions, not only in technology, but millions in the coaching of our coaches that run our Fit Body Bootcamp locations worldwide, because they are the product.
What's up, my friend? Bryce here. Now, you might know me as the co-host of this podcast and the CEO of Fit Body. But what many people don't know is that I actually began my journey as a Fit Body franchise owner. Now, being an owner, I wake up every day absolutely doing what I love. I live my passion. I help people transform their lives and have both financial and personal freedom. And it's for these reasons and many more that other owners join the brand and open their own Fit Body locations too. So if you're looking to build a highly profitable business, take charge of your life, and create an impact in your very own community, then opening a Fit Body gym might be a perfect fit for you. Now, to see if a territory is available in your area, as we have very limited spots due to our incredible growth, go ahead and visit our website at fbbcfranchise.com to complete an application. Well, thanks, and back to the show.
The other point I want to hit when we unpack the box in terms of, this massive, fallout with F45 is the difference between investing in a franchise system that's investor owned or private owned. And interestingly enough, F45 had played the game. They're one of their founders, there's a group of three, was in the investment banking world, right? And then saw this as a big, opportunity to basically scale a brand. Good for him, right? But there's also a lot of opportunity, I think, and value in a private-owned company like ours. And specifically, when I look for a franchise, and when I was one of your franchisees back in 2012, B, I really liked the fact that it was privately owned, because I've seen and read and had experience with other companies that were not privately owned. And ultimately what happens is then the board of directors make decisions for the investors, not necessarily for the franchise partners, for their coaches, for their global clients. And that's the big rub that I saw. So that's a huge aspect for me in a coaching moment for our audience, is to really explore the value and see the value of a private-owned company versus a public-owned company, where a public-owned company, you're not necessarily the priority. So I would love some of your insights on that.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. A publicly owned company that's on the New York Stock Exchange is not, their greatest priority is not the franchisee. Their greatest priority is the shareholders, and the shareholders must be appeased. The shareholders hold that CEO and the board of directors' feet to the fire. And so those CEOs and board of directors will do whatever they need to, sadly, unfortunately, to manufacture the outcome that the shareholders are looking for, oftentimes at the detriment to the franchisee. Whereas when it's privately owned, like our brand, like many other fitness franchise brands out there, you and I get to make that decision. Unless you and I decide that we want to all of a sudden secrete our greed glands and really make an obscene amount of money overnight, we're not going to manufacture some kind of propaganda or endorsement that's going to benefit us but not our franchisees. So we always put the health of our franchisees first, knowing that when they are healthy, we are healthy, and we're not dealing with the class action lawsuit. We're not dealing with any issues with the Federal Trade Commission or Securities and Exchange Commissions, any of those things. We sleep well at night, and I don't want to have to look over my shoulders, not as the founder and president. And I imagine you sleep better at night as a CEO, knowing that there's no skeletons in our closet. And so, again, nothing wrong with investing in something, but understand that it's not a commodity, a product like an iPhone, where Apple can go, all right, we're going to go to a different manufacturer in China and see if we can have the iPhone screens made for $2 less, and then see if we can have the processor made for $5 less. And if we can, chip away here, we can make our investors happy. In which case, hey, that's okay. It's still the same iPhone with the right specs that us, you and I, the consumers get. The investors are happy. The consumers are happy. But when you begin to play games with a franchisee and the franchisee's clients, who expect the franchisee to get the support so that those clients can get the results. Because here's a trickle-down effect of that. When the franchisee is not getting the support they require to be able to run a proper F45 or a proper workout program, then the clients may have come in because of David Beckham, Cindy Crawford, Mark Wahlberg, but they quickly left because of the shitty experience they got and the poor results they got. The feeling that no one really knows them, cares about them, and appreciates them. Those are the systems that a franchisor has an obligation to teach. And so, yes, maybe Mark Wahlberg or any celebrity entices me to check out that brand. But if that brand does not have their poop in a group, I'm very quickly going to go to a different brand. And so this, for many reasons, you have to weigh out whether is this a privately owned company and therefore they don't dance to the beat of the investor's drum, or are they, do they have investors where those investors and their money comes first before the franchisee and the clients.
So then, looking ahead, B, from your lens, I'm curious, what to look for, right? If you're someone going through the process and exploring a F45, a Fit Body Bootcamp, other group training franchise systems, what are the things to look for? From my lens, you got to do your research. At the end of the day, there's FDDs, there's just a lot of content out there, and you should, look around at the end of the day to try to find a company that's aligned with your core values, a fit for you, and also the training modality that provides. Number two, you got to talk with headquarters. They should be very, very eager to talk to you, to showcase any information that you need, multiple calls, multiple follow-ups, et cetera.
Yeah, and they should be transparent with you.
Totally.
Like anything you ask for, they should be able to deliver, because the Federal Trade Commission demands all franchise brands to have everything detailed out in the FDD, franchise disclosure document. And so if they are dragging their feet on getting you the franchise disclosure document, if they're dancing around, we've heard this a lot, right? We've heard this a lot. Like, hey, when I called Fit Body Bootcamp, you guys transparently and openly gave me all the information I needed. This brand and that other brand kept dancing around it and saying, we'll give you that information as we get closer to signing the agreement. Like, that's a big fat red flag.
Oh, yeah. And the last one for me, B, is any franchisor should be excited and open and transparent, but provide you validators. And validators are other owners in that current brand. And that's something that's really important to us in our sales process. You know, when someone's doing the vetting, when we get them all the information they need, we open up our books, we provide them the FDD, and we also encourage them, hey, take some time to basically reach out to these handful of owners, get their experience so that you have a holistic look. And I think any franchise system that's not willing to do that, that's a big red flag for me.
Yeah, I agree. And whether you are actively reaching out to franchisees yourself or the franchisor is willing to introduce you to franchisees maybe in your area or who have your same background. Like, for example, if I'm a police officer, and we've got a lot of police officers that came on board with Fit Body Bootcamp over the years as owners. If I'm a police officer, I might want to hear from another police officer in how owning a Fit Body Bootcamp went for them, because they don't come from the fitness industry. So they might have a doubt like, hey, I'm not a personal trainer. I love fitness myself, but I don't necessarily make my money in fitness. I make it as a police officer. I'm looking to change industries. Can I talk to another police officer that's become an owner, that's experienced what it's like to open up and start up and launch and et cetera? It is a comforting feeling to know that you're talking to someone in your demographic or your geographic area who has experienced that. And again, if the franchisor is reluctant to make that introduction with someone who can validate the experience of being a franchisee, that is a big fat red flag.
So to put a bow on it today, B, I guess looking ahead, bringing it back to F45, doing a debrief, if you will. I mean, what do you think the future looks like for them?
I can't help but say that if you're a F45 franchisee, the future looks very bright if you just debrand and come and become a Fit Body Bootcamp owner.
Well, we have 2 owners actually in the process in Ohio doing that right now.
That is true. That is true. I meant that as a joke, but I just realized we actually have 2 F45 owners currently doing that right now. Again, what does it look like for the brand in terms of the future? I think they need to start at the very top. And when you put in a leader who can put the franchisees and their clients first, then that leader will make sure that the support team at headquarters is well-informed, knowledgeable, educated to be able to deliver what the franchisees and what the clients expect. And then they might need to go to the investors at that point and say, look, false expectations were set. And so I need to be here as this new CEO of F45 to set a new expectation for you guys as the investor. And you need to know that here's what the real margins are going to look like so that we can focus on the health of our existing franchisees. I would encourage them to fix the problems with their existing franchisees first before bringing any new franchisees on board. And if they did that, they have a great opportunity of being a part of this franchise community in the fitness industry that we're all in. And maybe consider, again, if I were coaching F45, I would say maybe consider putting coaches in who are personable, who are the product, and let them use technology as a way to amplify the service and not necessarily for it to be the service.
My friend, I think that was an incredible way to segue. I was going to ask you the future for franchising, but I don't know. Do you want to take a stab at that to lead us out?
Well, I think the future for franchising is huge because sadly, situations like this, again, serve as a cautionary tale when an F45 or any other fitness brand or whatever brand, if someone's into, you look at Quiznos. Let's just take a moment to talk about Quiznos. Arguably a better sandwich than Subway.
Way better sandwich than Subway.
Yeah. In fact, I believe there was I forget her name. She was one of those like journalist reporters who had this awesome blog, and she had done some scientific experiment with a Subway sandwich, the bread, and there was something like 0.5% rubber in it, like yoga rubber. And it was so that the bread could hold its shape. And she had exposed that. This was like some 10 years ago. Everyone's probably yelling right now as they're listening to this going, don't forget Jared, that creep. Yeah, I get it. But Jared was not part of the product. He was part of their marketing. And thankfully he's in prison now, that creep. We're on the same page there. But Quiznos comes out And they're like, hey, we have a better bread with no rubber in it whatsoever. No synthetic product in this bread. We use real cheese. We have a toaster. Our meats are not processed. Yet Quiznos is no longer around for the simple fact that they were a better product, but they had poor franchise systems. And therefore, the franchisees ultimately abandoned ship. And when you have a franchise brand where you're losing more than you're gaining, and by the way, Subway is having that experience right now. They are losing more locations than they're gaining. That is oftentimes the kiss of death. But overall, what does the franchise space look like? I think those of us that look beyond our own industry, so you and I always look beyond the fitness industry and franchising. We go, all right, what's automotive doing? Like Jiffy Lube, right? What is the food industry doing in franchising? Where did they go wrong? Where did Quiznos go wrong? Where did Cold Stone Creamery go wrong? What is Jiffy Lube doing that's right? How about Chick-fil-A? They're doing something right. Mm-hmm. And you take the good and then you abandon what didn't work for them, and we continue to get better. So ultimately, drama like this that takes place whether it was a string of bad decisions that F45 leadership made, or if it was intentionally manipulated to inflate the investors' income that backfired and now is impacting their franchisees and their corporate office. Stuff like this will serve as a cautionary tale and then also serve as an example to us of what not to do and how not to be, so we can better serve our franchisees.
Well, I appreciate that takeaway. Friends, to put a bow on this, again, this is a cautionary tale. This is not to talk smack on F45. We really want to do a deep dive and be able to provide some education and also some action steps when you're looking at your own, franchise system in order to invest in. We hope it's with FitBody. We are in an absolute tear. We've added 50 locations in 2022, and the year's not even done. Mm-hmm. And this is just after, a wild COVID bout. But do your research. Talk with HQ. Connect with validators. Make sure that you are jumping in bed with a company that knows you, cares you, trusts in you, and basically be there to support you, which is really the message for today. So, be any last minute words of wisdom before we sign off for today?
You nailed it, my friend. All
right, friends. I know you got a ton of value, I should say, in this episode. Assuming you did, give us a like, give us a subscribe on YouTube, write us an amazing review, and better yet, drop your best takeaway in the comments. We'd love to engage. B, appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you.
My friends, we'll see you in the next episode.